Hey everyone, welcome to day four. Man, this week is going by so fast. If you are just coming on board for the first time, seeing this event happen, we are on our day four of our 5-day AI challenge with JB, and as well as, a ton of others that are implementing and showing a couple of cool things that are happening. JB, welcome in, man. I'm excited to have you lead us the way.
Thank you. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're in the world. We're glad to have you here. We have a few of our fine folks logging in to the Zoom. They're tuning in, looks like on YouTube, Facebook, LinkedIn, all over. So we'll give everybody a few minutes here. But Paulson, what a week it's been, man. We've been going hard on all this new collateral content, just technology, right? That's now available to those that are interested in getting started from scratch, or maybe adding additional services to their businesses or their consulting businesses. So, wow. How about yourself? How do you feel about it?
Pretty good, man. I'm excited because, we had the old challenge of the missed call text back, and now this is like the 2.0 version of AI. AI is pretty much in the trends, and maybe, a couple of months later, a year later, AI might be a normal thing and that everybody knows about it, just a standard, right? But today we're leaning into that trend, and I think I'm excited for it. I'm seeing a few people trickle in, more people joining us. So if you can tell us what city and state you're checking in from, it'll be awesome. And one of the cool things is the accountability partner homework you had implemented, JB. I think that was really brilliant on your part because it's allowing people to collaborate, connect. You're going to be able to find people in your same exit, is what I'm seeing.
I love that, and just the opportunity to be able to do that and get creative, right? And how do we give the best experience to the loyal audience that we have, our loyal users, those that have been, loyal from the sidelines, just don't have the time or the interest to go full in yet. So thank you for that. And in that Facebook group, if you haven't joined it yet and you've been part of the challenge, make sure you join the 5-day AI group official. Official is in parentheses. Make sure you join that and use your relationship number. There's instructions, all your information there, so that way you get accepted into the group. We have thousands that have joined in just the last 2 days that have not yet put their picture up. And this message is for you. Put a nice picture up, put a nice video up, showcase your personality, because we still have a lot of people without accountability partners. And it's like we went from one to one to now like one to many. So people have like huddles and their own Zoom meetings, their own groups going on and working through this. So please, please, please share your superpowers, share your energy, and let's get that in the mix. Wow, this room is here is filling up quick. We're gonna start getting gonna get started here close to being on time. Paulson, if you're okay for me to kick off,
Yeah, let's do it. We got a lot of
okay,
content to go through, and today's about client fulfillment, client onboarding. So, I'm excited for it. So, yeah, let's go ahead and kick off the content.
excellent. Well, everyone that's here, thank you for joining. The first 3 days of what we've been doing has been a lot for a lot of people, and I want you to know that we hear you loud and clear. Our support team has been sharing some great news of the collaboration that our trial members, our customers, and our visitors have been, going back and forth and really getting involved. So we appreciate that. But I want to remind you that this is you need patience for this, and you need to know that you have a community to support you. So leveraging the Facebook group, leveraging the Speak With Us success channel is important, as well as making friends while you're in the mix, because that's where the true magic happens. And although we want you to get your first customer before the end of the challenge or maybe a few days thereafter, we know that it is a learning process. And we do know that we have a few people that are starting side hustles, they have full time jobs, or they're doing this to grow their business. So you haven't missed a lot, but we ask that you get caught up in what we've trained so far. And there's two ways to get caught up. One, you can go into the live feeds in each of the groups that you may be a part of that are owned by High Level. You can go onto YouTube. You can go onto our website in the replays, or you can go into the membership course section and as well do the actual course material. If you haven't joined the 5-day AI challenge officially, you can go to our website and get ready for the next one that's going to be announced here very soon, and we'll add you to that waiting list. But most importantly, if you're watching this and you don't know what I'm talking about because you just joined in because we popped up on your screen, I want you to consider accepting the challenge now from me to you to set up your trial account. Set up a trial account with High Level. Get familiar with what we have going on here. Consume our content that we have in the mix. And I'll share my screen here so you can go ahead and have the link and just get involved in our ecosystem. The High Level ecosystem is so powerful. And when I say powerful, it's an understatement. It is filled with people that want to help, they want to guide, they want to be there, as well as they want to do business with you. So that is so, so important. And again, when you sign up for a trial, you do our trainings, you take on the responsibility of serving customers. Just remember, High Level is a resource, it's a platform, it's here to assist you, but we don't guarantee any results, right? We only provide the tools. You will then need to do the work, learn, and be able to then offer your customers the services that you have. But participating in it will give you all the resources you do need. And we do give you that foundation to take your knowledge, experience, and potential business to the next level. So it's so important to include that in there. For our existing customers that are tuning in, thank you. We appreciate your loyalty. We appreciate you being interested in what we have. And we promise we have some more stuff coming your way as well. So I'm going to get here, without further ado here, let me get into today's agenda because I think it's important that we buckle up and we get ready to put the pedal to the metal. I think I said that right. Metal to the pedal to the metal. You get my drift. We're going to go supercharge. We're going all in today. And today's theme is around fulfillment because fulfillment has everything to do with what your customer wants. They want a service. They have trusted you based on the information you've shared, and now they're ready to do business with you because of the resources and the vision you've created. So we're going to go over today the client onboarding, what that looks like, what that includes. Again, this is big picture. There are many ways to thin slice this to go deeper, but if you have the foundation, you then have that flexibility to look and go further into what your goals are for your business. We're going to go over the client login. When they get in, how do they get in? What if they can't get in, right? You don't want to get random phone calls at different times of the day, and your customers don't want to have to figure it out and look at an instruction manual each time either. So it's so important that we give them the expectations of what they need to do and how they do it. And then we're going to get into the actual training and adjusting the AI assistant. I want you to put this scenario in your mind. You're my customer today. What we're going to go over is if you're my customer today, and I'm going to go over these steps so that way you can then go over with your customer. Now, keep in mind, my style may not fit you 100%, but it is the foundation. And by the end of this, you'll be able to jump into the membership course if you haven't already and consume the information that our partner, Haplin, from our product team has put together to help you get through each step at your own pace. So without further ado, I like to get some engagement going here in the chat. If you've been tuning in or experiencing our membership course, what's your favorite part of it all? Okay, and then maybe you tuned in for 15 minutes, maybe you tuned in for the whole thing. It's okay. But what was one nugget that you took away from either a live session or the training course that has maybe inspired you or repositioned your thought process on diving deep into this AI challenge? Let's throw that in the chat. Jared, I see you. The energy, Sanjula in Edison, New Jersey. Thank you for sharing that. I'm in New Jersey right now myself, which is cool. The excitement, appreciate you, Kim. This is so important between, when you got Paulson and I here, we're trying to understand what our audience wants here. And with this new material, sometimes it's kind of hard because everybody has different expectations, but you all have been great. Troy, the community is amazing. Hello from Pakistan. I love this, man. This energy is great. So please include what's one nugget you took away, maybe that you can use in your venture, in your business, or in your process. And we're going to continue on going here. So I want to go back to this. The slide is important, and you're going to see this as you're in our community, as you're in our trainings. Your go-to-market business plan is everything that has to do with how you position your gateway offer, the relationship you build during that gateway offer, and then that then evolves into the long-term relationship with your core offer, and then you take off like an airplane with your expansion because you've earned the trust relationship, you've showcased the expertise, you've shared the result, your relationship is going great, and now they want to do more business with you because it's that important for their business that they're partnered with the right company, the right person. So important to keep this in mind because we don't want you to stay just at your AI reception, AI executive offer. We want you to grow so you can help many more people and earn referrals from that. And then, things happen. Businesses unfortunately close down. Not your fault. People switch, they sell their business. So they may downgrade, but there was enough value to keep you in the mix. And that's so important. And people love people. If you disconnect yourself from your offer, from your business, from your customer, you won't have anything. So we want to make sure we're in touch with all the right reasons. So I want to go over a little bit more of an overview from a practical perspective. From a practical perspective, I'm going to be sharing my windows. I'm going to be going eye to eye with you. We're going to go through some forms, some processes, and the goal is for you to understand how to set those expectations because they matter. If Paulson's my customer and Paulson has the same knowledge, if not more, or is beginner, doesn't matter. If he doesn't understand my expectations and I don't understand his expectations, we're not going to see eye to eye. One of us is going to go the other direction. So we're going to show you and talk to you on how we do that. As we evolve, it's going to be important that we also show you the learning how to learn systematically with a process to onboard these folks, right? We can have a conversation like this, but we don't have an agenda. We're going to get off track and we're not going to get what we got to get done completed. And, the onboarding checklist is important because that's the foundation of how you move things forward. Just imagine you meet somebody for the first time, you have a great conversation, and you forget to ask them for their name. You're going to feel a little awkward to say, hey, what was your name again? We had such a detailed conversation. Think about how you meet people. Maybe you ask them for their name, where they're from, their phone number. Can I text you? You share a business card. That's the foundation. And then from there, maybe you circle around or you go different directions. We want you to feel the same way and have a process for you and your new customers. And then the last is setting the stage for ascension. Fancy word, we get it, but we want to make sure that you know how to grow your customers based on their needs as well as their wants. What they need may be based off of your knowledge and your observation. What they want may be totally different. How do we bring it together, show them, and make it happen so they see the result? Everything in this business is result driven. No matter what marketing company you work with, no matter if it's, one of the big 5 social media platforms, whether it's traditional marketing, if there's no results, there's no business, there's no relationship. So it's that important that you are setting that expectation and they understand what they signed up for. And that's what we're going to go over today. So keep that in mind. Results are important. And because they give you $1 doesn't mean you're going to give them everything under the software. We've set the expectation that we're going to be doing this, and then we're going to be growing to that. If you understand that, type in, I get it. I understand. Because it's important.
I'm sorry.
Hmm.
If you JB, if you don't mind, let's go to the business plan slide. I'm seeing a few
Yeah.
comments here. Let's get a
Okay.
good temperature check of where everybody is with the go-to market business plan. I know you have a lot of details that you're going to show in how to onboard and things like that. Give me type in let's just say let's just say clarity. Type in the word clarity if you want more clarity on this, because I feel like if we're not on the same page about this business plan, you're probably gonna have a hard time going to the market. And people are asking, hey, what's the difference between the gateway offer and the core offer? What's the difference between a core offer and the expansion offer? So let's just make sure. Okay, I see a few people asking for clarity. Actually, more people. Okay, cool.
Yeah. Great
So,
observation. I think it's
so
important. So thank you for that.
for sure. So the idea of gateway offer, right? So let's think about other companies. Let's think about Starbucks, for example. Um, you know, Starbucks during, Starbucks in certain time periods, like the winters, they have like peppermint, mocha, frappe, whatever. It's like a winter holiday drink. When you think about summertime, they have like these refreshments, like this, it's like passion fruit summer refresher juice drink, right? And the reason why they have those for certain time periods is because those are the gateway offers that these businesses have, where they kind of essentially bring you into the world of their ecosystem. Now, from that drink, you turn into essentially a coffee drinker, right? Same thing applies for other businesses. So, ideally, we need a dangling carrot. We need a dangling carrot that's relevant to them, that's going to quickly give them results that matter to them as close as you can to the revenue line, right? When you build up offers, even if you go through and create an offer outside of the AI chat widget that we're teaching you, even if you did, it's totally fine as long as it's as close as you can get to the revenue line of the business. Because if you're far away from the revenue line, you more than likely will have a hard time justifying the offer, right? With the AI chat, I can tell them, hey, how many conversations came in every single week? I can say how many customers we interacted with. It's quantifiable. Now, quick pop quiz. What's the timeline difference of when you should open the box of core offer? Like I specifically had mentioned, and JB as well, we had specifically mentioned within how long of a time frame do you want to schedule your onboarding where you open up the core offer? And we're going to talk about what's inside the core offer. So you're using the gateway offer to get in front of the customer. They're excited to go. You have to schedule an onboarding, which is what we're going to talk about today. During that onboarding, we're expanding the other three or four offers in the core. Let's see how many people were listening. Okay, awesome. A ton of you. 72 hours. So the 72-hour rule is basically saying that within 72 hours, you have to schedule an onboarding call and open up the core offer. Because if you don't, you would lose the customer. If you don't, you will have churn. They're not going to just stay with you the whole time just because you have one feature on or one offer on. You cannot build a software business around one offer that easily. It's much more stable if you can park them into a more stable tech stack, which the core offer we recommend is obviously the mobile app, because if they're running around the shop, they should be able to see the online activities and consolidate the inbox in one place. In order for them to do that, they have to download the mobile app. Whether you use Lead Connector, White Label, or even the high level app, you should set up the app experience for all of your customers. The second one is the reviews. Reviews are basically the reputation currency of a small business out there, right? My wife and I, anytime we want to go eat nowadays, it's all based on the number of reviews that restaurant had. Like it's not even what the reviews say, it's literally the number of reviews. That's how habitual we have become to reviews. The third thing is making sure they have a GMB profile connected to high level. Why does that matter? because GMB is where they capture organic traffic. So you might as well be the one company that focuses on the organic traffic initially, and then the expansion offer we talk about are optional. Those are Facebook ads, Google ads, SEO, bigger items, and you don't have to lead with those big ticket items. Here, you can lead with the SaaS offer and park them into a bigger item because it's much more easier to sell a customer on a $2,000 package once you have gained a relationship at $200 a month, right? So this is a chronological customer journey that we're proposing, and obviously results may vary. It doesn't mean you're going to get these results, but this is the model many agencies in our ecosystem currently do, and we teach this curriculum across all of our events, almost every, challenge and workshop and everywhere we harp on this really well and just very thoroughly. So everybody should be on the same page about how to go to market, whether you use AI chat or not. I don't really care about AI chat, neither does JB. 6 months later, it might be the next big dangling carrot. We might all just migrate over into a new offer. It doesn't matter if the offer changes because guess what? If I go to Starbucks today, it's April, I'm gonna probably not find the peppermint mocha that they give out during Christmas, right? So that's really the main thing that you want to pay attention to is this order in how your customers are being expanded and when they're being expanded, why they're being expanded, and how to park them. And I've mentioned it yesterday, do not charge extra for the core offer. You're essentially giving them four or five big features for the 197 monthly. And you notice if you go to the course, Haplin shares his ideas of like 97 a month. If you come to any of the other events, I often say charge $500 a month. If you go to Frank Kern or a couple of others, they'll tell you, hey, charge $1,000 a month. All that is flexible, but at the end of the day, you need to have a gateway offer that makes sense. Get them excited with one feature, then you're going to schedule an onboarding, park them into a core offer, and then based on results, you can choose to do the expansion. And this stabilizes your churn much better as a marketing service provider. Does that help everyone? Give me a yes in the chat if that makes sense, if that gives you a bigger picture idea of how this business model could work for you in general. Give me a yes in the chat if that's a lot more clear. Okay. All right, JB, back to you. And I know we got to
Awesome.
go through a ton of details here. So um,
Yep.
hopefully that helps.
Absolutely. I think that's so important for us to it was a great power move because we do have a lot of new people here and we went over that a few days back and yesterday being sales and prospecting we really hit hard on making sure we built upon relationships and new people that we can offer our talent services to. So thank you so much for that, Paulson and team. Audience here, thank you for letting us know that you needed clarity on it. So key. So I want to move on here to our first part of bringing on our customer. Our customer has said to us, "Let's go. Let's do this." John, I'm ready to get started with you. I'm excited. What's next? So it's important to keep in mind, how I'm thinking about this for my customer is I have to go into high level. I have to now make sure that I create a dedicated sub account. So by now you know what the sub account is. That's their own custom account. I have to then create a snapshot for them, which is pretty much a pre-configured best practice way of doing different things, whether it's scheduling appointments, whether it's pre-templated messages. And we'll go into how that looks for our top industries that we've created them for. And then we have to fill in all the client information. And this is key because, what you put in is what goes out. So making sure we have the right name, business name, how it's supposed to look, the phone number, the email, the website, so on and so forth. Basic information, but information we need to touch on because sometimes as professionals, we're running through getting people signed up and we skip a few steps along the way with the intent to go back. We want to make sure we're also adding our employees in there, the user access for that business. and then adjusting the permission so everything works. So I'm going to get right into that now so we can see how that goes. But actually, right before I do that, let me do this here. Let's get into the onboarding experience walkthrough talking points here. So as Paulson had mentioned, we want to make sure we're onboarding within 72 hours. He's mentioned this several times before in other trainings and in this one as well. We need to get them involved with us on the onboarding within 72 hours. And we need to make sure that the client has control of the experience. So sharing the screen, letting them drive with their mouse, their computer, and then making sure they know where to go. So keep that in mind. You signed up with me today. We meet maybe today, tomorrow, the next day, and I'm having a conversation, an agenda set up that I'm learning everything about your business. And now it's time for you to get on your computer and share your screen as I walk you through what to do next. And the experience as a customer is I'm buying in. I can do this. I feel and see the value from it. And that's such a sticky point to keep in mind, because if they don't use it, they will stop paying for it, and they will not see benefits. They have to be the one to use it. And then we're going to go through bookmarking that login page. So if you're ready, do me a favor, type in the chat ready while I load this up, and we're going to get right into it. So this is a view here that you all have. This is the agency view. The agency view gives you the ultimate access to manage features, access, and create your customers under your account. So on this left-hand side, there is something here, sub-accounts. You're going to click on sub-accounts. You're going to click create sub-account. And this part here is what I had mentioned before. This is the snapshot template section. This snapshot template section fits for a majority of the industries that you may be serving. Attorneys, Today Spa, CrossFit, coaching. There's a handful here. And the nice thing about this feature here is that you can learn as you go. So let's say, for example, we bring on an attorney, single practice owner attorney. We want to know what this snapshot includes. There is information. There's a video, there's example, and then there's a setup guide. And this setup guide is important because it walks you through every step of the way to best use this snapshot. And this applies to all the snapshots that we've preloaded here for you. So this will take a little bit of muscle memory. You're going to have to get familiar with it because many people will jump in and click continue and go right into setting up the account. This is a great learning opportunity for you to learn as you go. So I want to go back here just so we have clarity on how to do this. We're going into our agency view. We're going to the sub-account tab on the left. We're clicking create a sub-account. And we're going to pick our location or industry. And then we're going to go on the top here. There's two options. There's only two options if you signed up for the $497 trial. It'll say SaaS account. If you signed up for the $97 trial or the $297 trial, it'll say it'll just be the regular account. But for those on that other version, the $497, make sure you click on regular account for this training and then click continue. This will then bring the search screen, which is going to be important. This is where you start putting in the right information, correct information that is to the business. You can search the business name. Right? So if it will say it was attorney Paul Lang, but you want to make sure that that information aligns with your business because there are times where there are duplicate listings out there. My recommendation is that you add it manually. So we go to add account manually, and let's start from the top and make our way down. So if we were to do this, if I'm the attorney, if my attorney's name was John, I'm plugging in his information. Business name, street address. This is all the information that we want to make sure we have. And we're going to show you a way to have this through your onboarding form. Plug in. See what we got here. If you're doing this along with me on a second screen, go ahead and type in following along. Paulson, with while I'm doing this here, could you maybe share some insight just so that way our audience is not getting the super silence, if you don't mind? I just want to make sure we got
Absolutely. So,
everyone feeling good.
yeah, so one thing is there are other trainings like quick wins, welcome courses. Our YouTube channel has a ton of content. In different ways, you can onboard and streamline the customer, depending on the type of offers you have as well. So there's plenty of content that you can go through and just kind of automate a ton of these things. We're just showing you the manual process for those of you that are brand new. And we'll also have a checklist that JB put together that we will review, so that way you have an idea of like setting the stage. So like the important thing here is to prep your customer. So before you jump on a Zoom call with them. Maybe you close a deal on a phone. Maybe you shook hands at an event and you close deals in person. But before they jump into your Zoom to set all this up, make sure you send them an email that tells them, hey, here's a meeting agenda. This is what we're going to accomplish during the meeting. You need to have passwords to your social media accounts. You need to have passwords to your website so we can install something in there. You need to make sure you have access points to XYZ, whatever online assets they have. You need to kind of prep them and to make sure that they come into this meeting with all that information. Because I don't want them to, I don't want to be like, hey, can you get your IT guy to pedal faster so you can give me the password? Like, I don't want to deal with that in general in my onboarding. I want to make sure my clients and prospects come in with everything that I need before. Now, will they miss most things? Yeah, I would say 30% of items you need, not gonna have. They just don't have it. Usually because they're not techie, they don't know who has it, who controls it. They had three marketing agencies in the past. They all contributed to building the same website. You'll get little variations like that. But if you can get them at least 70% of the way there, you can turn on the reviews, chat, the AI chat, and get them to just download the mobile app, that itself is enough of a win because you may over time get all that information set up maybe in a month or two, like depending on what they're able to kind of provide. But go ahead, JB.
Absolutely. So I wanted to show this part here first because it comes up often where folks will create the sub account, but then they don't ever get to log in. So it's important that you click on this. Once you fill the information in, this window will pop up to click on switch to sub account. And when you click on switch to sub account, now you'll see on the top here that you have the account of your customers. You're in that account. So important because you don't want to put all the effort into the wrong account, and you also don't want to mess up what you did for other accounts. You always want to make sure you're in the right account, and that'll show you right up here. Now, there are a bunch of other features here that could be used for the expansion offer. I recommend that you don't get too deep in the weeds on this yet, but these will pop up and you can set that up as you evolve. But as we get into the sub account now, it's so important that we are navigating and giving our customer access. So what we want to do next here is keep in mind with the settings. The settings, you'll be able to go to the My Staff section and add an employee, which is typically one of three people: the owner, the owner's manager, or employees. You can add them individually here. And when you add them individually here, you can go step by step through each settings, but most importantly, the user roles, and make sure you're giving them the user access to the employees and the admin access to the owner. and you could adjust that based on the needs and access needed. And then as you're going through that, you're also able to connect calendars as well as other, signature. And this is here all self-explanatory. But the second biggest part here is the user permissions. So in the membership course, it mentions for you to only need 3 settings. You need the conversations, you need the settings, and you need the sites. So everything else here can go off. And as you start marking these off and you're following along with the training in the membership course, you'll be able to do that. I just want you to visually see where that is. So that is under the main account, that is under the sub account, which is John Law. It's under my staff on the left. Create a staff member, and then each staff member has their information that you need to put in, and then the user permissions and the user roles. For this live, we're not going to go too deep into that at this moment, but you have a visual of what it looks like.
Yeah, one thing I want to add here is you, as the marketing service provider, have all the freedom to do whatever you want in how you provide access. There is a difference between admin access versus agency admin access. Agency admin access is your entire agency account with all of your clients in it. You want to make sure a single client doesn't have access to the rest of your clients, right? So the umbrella, the way I look at this is like a parent-child relationship, right? So it's each location, or you want to say each sub account, in other words, is its own business. Now, some businesses will have multiple locations. Ideally, you want to set up separate sub accounts for each location because you want to track sales and activities of location 1 versus 2 versus 3. They have different staff members. Don't compile it all into one sub account, in my opinion. So just be aware that this access could be changed later. Let's say in the future, maybe your client is so techy and they're so advanced and they're like, hey, Paulson, like I kind of feel like I want to have my own account, right? I want to have my own agency account because now I'm a franchisor, or I'm interested in selling this as a thing. You also have the ability to extract out a sub account and convert it into an agency account under your affiliate link. Those are advanced things that you don't have to worry about today, but you do have the full freedom to kind of figure out what you want to do with this client. But remember to set the expectations of what access is, what's not access. The owner may say, hey, my front desk should have less access than me because they have certain shifts that they're covering, or they have a certain offer that they're focused on, or one person has access to the website and the other person has access to something else. Like there's so many different cool variations of access points that you can create for each client that I think over time you'll kind of learn that in the process.
Absolutely. And right, you could replay this part of the live over and over. You can do the membership course and go through that. But sometimes you just need more clarity. You need more understanding. Maybe you need to see it in action. The high level support portal is where it's at. So what I did here, I wrote in the search user access. And when I did that, you see what we have here. Let's go user access settings. And you can see this was recently updated. This explains all the user access, the permissions, a separate article for permissions that we went over, the agency account versus the sub account, team management, because your customers will ask and you won't have all the answers right away. So make sure you're getting familiar with the high level support portal, because right here, this is going to give you more detail and visuals on what user and admin offers. And because of that, you'll be able to give the answers that your customer needs to feel secure that their information is safe from any wrongdoing. So that part's there. I know that there's a handful of us that are techie. I know that there's a handful of us that are in the middle and are brand new. but the high level support portal will fill in that gap outside of our 24/7 Monday through Friday support team that jumps on a Zoom with you. Our Facebook group will help you. And then our live sessions here will add some context to that and get you in the right direction. But keep that in mind that all of these components will get you where you need to be. So as we move on here, I just want to touch on a few things because I showed you one part of the onboarding, but I want to bring it all together with some other pieces of the puzzle. So, like I mentioned before here, on board within 72 hours, client gets involved on a Zoom meeting, or if you're in person, go to their location if you can and work with them side by side, and then make sure they have access on their own. They're not relying on you. You want to get to a point where you send somebody an invoice, they pay the invoice, they give you a check in hand, whatever the case may be, you collect payment. Now it's game time because once they give you the money, they want the result. So there's a process that we recommend, which is setting that onboarding appointment and the agenda. So let's just imagine this. You gave me the check. We booked the appointment for tomorrow at 2:00. I sent you an email with a Zoom link, and now we're on the Zoom link. We're together here on the Zoom link, and I go, thank you so much for joining me today. It's super exciting that we're finally getting started. I know we've been back and forth, and we've been trying to figure out what's a good fit and when. So we're here, and this is exciting. So I see you got some new faces on the Zoom here. I'm John. Nice to meet you. Do you guys mind sharing who you are? And oh, nice to meet you, Joe. Nice to meet you, Jane. Bob shared a little bit about the team that's behind them. So I'm excited that you're all here. I'm assuming that we're all going to be using the software together. So this is great that we're all here. And then at that point, as you get that small talk, that should take you about 5 minutes. You're going to trickle into the realignment of the offer, especially if there are new people in the conversation. So you want to refer the initial conversation that maybe you and the owner initially had, just to bring everybody up to speed. We are getting started today on the AI executive assistant that Bob and I had spoke about. And the purpose of that of this AI executive assistant is to support everybody in the company during working hours and after working hours. And we're going to do so by having an option on the bottom right of the website that if somebody has a question, they can ask it and it'll respond back with approved answers that we will put together as one. And that could range from hours of operation, services, so on and so forth. And the goal of that is to capture all of the organic website traffic that is coming to your website now that is not getting cared for. And it's because you guys are running around, taking care of customers, answering phones, responding to social media messages. We're missing out on the website traffic because they don't have a place to raise their hand or to ask somebody a question. So we're going to solve that. What you could expect from that is that with the advertising you're doing now in the newspaper, on TV, on social media, on your vehicles, when they go to your website, there'll be a bottom right button that pops up asking them if they have a question to click on it. And that bottom right button will take them on the journey of asking them and answering, asking them and answering. And based on what they need solved, that bot, that AI executive assistant should be able to answer it or at least get them to you on a phone call through an appointment calendar, or you can jump in if you're working within those hours that it's coming in. And I'll walk you through how you get involved during hours or after hours. Anyone have any questions on that? Great. And yes, it allows you to always change and update. Great question. Great question on that.
The
So
one
now
thing,
that we,
oh,
Mhm.
sorry, JB.
Go.
The one thing
Yep.
I pay attention to, whenever I do onboardings, one thing I pay attention to is figure out who is the lead person, right? Who is the actual decision maker? Because a lot of times the front desk person is a lot more organized than the owner of the business, or their spouses that are involved, or their business partner that are involved. So I like establishing who's my point of contact in that business often. I'll be like, hey, if something goes wrong, who's the decision maker that I can be? And then get on the same page about who's the deciding person that determines whether marketing or sales or whatever activities is certain way. You'll come across businesses that are spending several thousands of dollars a month on marketing. So then they have some strategies that they're kind of baking into what we're doing organically. So I would get that information as quick as possible to make sure you're talking to the right person. Because what I would hate is if I'm talking to somebody in that business and then like a week later I find out they don't really have much of any authority to say yes or no, and then I've got to work backwards explaining why I listened to that person and yada yada yada. It just gets into a big mess.
It's you hit it on the dot because I think the biggest thing is as we're evolving in our offering and with excitement, we want to get them set up so quick. And it's important to know who the stakeholders are. And depending on your sales experience or account management experience, there are so many resources that are out there that can help you always get better, even in our community. So this is a big picture framework for you to build upon. It may not fit your personality or your style 100%, but there's enough nuggets in here and guidance to get you what you need to make it perfect for you. And it'll always be evolving. So in that first 5 minutes, we just want to make sure we know who's who, they know who we are. We know that they know that they didn't buy Facebook ads management, they didn't buy Google ads management. They purchased the AI executive assistant, and for that reason, we're getting this started today with the growth and potential of doing more as we move on. And it's going to capture the organic web traffic. Why is that important? Because after the onboarding call, everybody's excited. They may be expecting an influx of new interactions. And unfortunately, if they're not doing any advertising consistently, whether it's an email blast, paid advertising, or just have good search engine optimization, there may not be a lot of interactions. And that is where you get to make those additional recommendations based on staying in touch. The second part you want to hit into smoothly is the business needs and objectives. And maybe that's about a 10-minute conversation. It could be a little less. You got to get the feel of the room. If it's a you and one person or you and many, you'll have to take those cues. But the purpose here is just to dig a little deeper from everyone that's involved to understand what are the needs and objectives of the AI reception tool and the pain points that the business is having. And that may be something like, we don't have the manpower to answer text messages or website inquiries. We're just tied up, or it's only me, or I don't know. I'm not a fast typer, or I'm not techie. So we have to understand that. So as we are collecting that information, we're able to look back at our notes and say, oh, I remember they're not too techie, so I can help them this way moving forward. And as you're starting to do that, you're going to notice that the guard, the shoulders, the arms crossed, the maybe looking too a little busy or not paying full attention will start to be focused on you, and they'll start paying attention to you because now you're talking about things that they know and they're comfortable and they're aware of. You're talking about their business. You went from talking about the reception tool to now their business, and that's what they know the best. So as we're going through that, we're also starting to get into their audience and the use case. So let's say, for example, their audience on their website may in fact be majority customers, existing customers. We need to understand in that conversation, what are some of the things that your existing customers ask you on a regular basis? Walk me through why a customer would go to your website and what would they expect from it during any hour of the day. And as you understand that, you may see, well, we have an account portal, especially our business customers will log in and handle their invoices or make a payment. We ask our customers to make payments online. whatever the case may be, you'll start to uncover these things that maybe weren't in front of you or obvious to the naked eye. They maybe have another page behind the scenes that's hidden for customers only that has a whole another section of information. And the nice thing about the AI executive tool that you're positioned and sold them is that it can go on every page that it needs to be on. So you need to know where you should have it, where you shouldn't. And again, I want to keep this high level because every customer, every business is a bit different. And as we understand that, we can go back to these notes. And that conversation evolves now. That was maybe about 7, 8 minutes. We now get into the onboarding form. So now by now, we've built some great rapport. They're taking you serious. They understand you know enough. You're bought into what they want to do. Now it's time to get into everything you really, really need to make this product work for them. And we've created forgive me. We created a form that allows you to walk through it and customize and edit as needed. So if you're ready to see that, type in the chat, show me the onboarding form. Show me the onboarding form, and we're going to get right into it here. Paulson, you've been around so many new agencies, new marketers, new folks that have jumped into the ecosystem. When it comes to onboarding, could you maybe pinpoint maybe one, two, or three nuggets that somebody should keep in mind when speaking or doing this process?
Yeah, I think the big thing here is to make sure you don't overwhelm your clients, right? It's very easy to like, um, you know, just get excited. It's easy to get excited about high level because you know what's possible, right? You know all the different capabilities. There's like 500 plus features from what I understand, and so many different things. So there is like a way to present high level. JB, if you don't mind, can you, I just created this slide while you were chatting. So this might be the first time um, you might see it, but can you go to slide number 74 for a quick second? What I did was create the order of how high level should be presented to your audience. Okay. JB, while you pull that up, um, it's important that you don't overwhelm them. So, like, we'll talk about this further in our 3-day workshop that's coming up next week around client onboarding. If you haven't signed up, Andy Keplinger as well as Nuno Tavares are our guest, and they're going to teach a lot of this. And this formula is something I learned from them as well to kind of clarify. And they've onboarded over 500 plus high-level accounts, and from all the different patterns and all the different ways to onboard, this is the most efficient chronological way to onboard people into high level without confusing them. So the first thing, and we're talking about what JB's talking about is how to integrate them into high level, how to onboard them as a business. Now, this that I'm sharing with you is how you educate them in how you use it, in how they use the system. So this is how they would use the system. So if you're training them on how to use high level, this is a order that I recommend. Now, follow JB's checklist on how to bring them into high level. Does that make sense? Is that, I don't want to confuse anybody of the difference of what me and JB are talking about here. Okay, perfect. Awesome. So yeah, first thing you want to show them is pipelines and how they can move their leads in the pipeline, right? The second thing is helping them understand you can install forms and surveys in multiple different areas of the business. Obviously, the AI chat system is really nothing but a big form, right? It's capturing information. It's a capture tool. That's really what it is. The calendar system, obviously, you want to make sure they understand there's individual calendars and team calendars. And then the fourth thing is funnels, like websites and funnels. Here's the face of the business out there in the online space. And the last thing is workflows, where they can see how automations are built out. So if they were ever to be onboarded into high level from a usage standpoint. And this is a chronological order I would follow. Now, let's go back to JB's thoughts on how to bring them into the system. Go ahead, JB. Hopefully, this
Absolutely.
helps. I don't want to cause any
Absolutely. And
confusion on this.
I think the audience that we have here, they are open to the wealth of information. It's what's nice about the replays and just looking at the videos and the membership and the collateral and the course is that you can go back and go at your own pace. But I think, when people jump on these live sessions, what they are looking for the most
Sorry,
is
JB.
insight.
I think your camera's turned off.
Yep, I'm
Just
jumping back
FYI.
on here.
Okay, cool.
And they're looking for insight. They're looking for how can I grab this from somebody who is doing this now or has done it before, so that way I can be prepared to do it on my own. And that is so key. So thank you for sharing that. So just to bring us back to, the Zoom meeting, at some point you will need to do a small demo, and we'll do that with the framework that was provided here. But we'll need to also get the information so that way they don't rush us off by the time we're done with the demo. Because, like Paulson had mentioned, this could be very overwhelming for somebody who's new, experienced, or on a time crunch. They might be like, look, I got to go. And you don't want them to go without knowing what you need so you could do the build out and get everything going on your end. So what we've created here under your website section of your snapshot was an onboarding questionnaire. The onboarding questionnaire can be viewed by typing in, I'll give you guys the sample site here so you could see it yourselves. Let me pull it up here. Give me one moment so I can give you the domain. AIchatbot.gohighlevel.com/onboarding checklist. If you want to jump on that, you're more than welcome to. And this onboarding checklist is part of your snapshot, and it'll give you the information you'll need if, in fact, that customer of yours or their designated person in their company is unavailable to jump on a Zoom. They could jump in and fill this out by themselves, or you can fill this out with them. So once you go to this website, there's some welcome information here, and this will start to give you everything you need to start building out their profile in the steps I showed you before, that sub-account build out. So first name, last name, phone number, email, business information. Keep in mind the business information could be a lot different than the business owner's information. They may have an office or a warehouse that they want listed. So we want to make sure that's all there. The website, and then you can upload their the logo, or they could upload the logo depending if they're doing this or you're doing this. I recommend you fill this out with them on the Zoom, so one, they know that that you understand their business, and it gives you a chance to clarify and elaborate as needed. And the goal here is to go through these questions. Now, you can edit this as needed. We'll show you how to do that within the website section of High Level. But we've added some questions here that build a good framework around what you'll need and where you'll need to find it. So some of the questions are like, what are the primary goals you want to achieve with the AI executive? With this AI executive, you can change this name. This is just a placeholder. So you can insert your product name there. What are the most frequent questions or inquiries your customer support team receives? And as you can read this on your own, you can also change the language on this, as well as how the question is structured. But if you're looking at a question like this one, how would you describe your brand's tone and personality? That's an important question to ask, because they might like a super professional because they're a multi-million-dollar company and they have certain rules and regulations, or they're a franchise. Or it might be more of a fun personality because that's how they've built their brand. And again, you can jot down these notes as you're going through it. And you'll find out your customer will say, hey, can I get this form too? I want to go a little bit more in detail in addition to what I've shared with you. If you see this form here and maybe you've gone to it on the link or you're looking at it on my screen, is this helpful for you? Give me a yes if this is helpful for you in the chat. And again, you may have an existing framework or some thoughts of how you want to do it. That's fine. You can use it, but you're going to be able to use this as an additional tool for you, your team, as you grow. And this is right on the website. Now, this information's filled out. What happens then? So I want to just show you what happens then. And let's just pretend this information was filled out here. They click on agree, or you click on agree, you hit submit. It will automatically, if they fill this out on their own, it'll automatically bring them to the calendar for onboarding. So let's say there's a scenario where you sent this out, they filled it out on their own. This will then ask them to book a time to go over that information with you. That's a powerful part because you want to get them on the calendar right away. Now, obviously, if you're filling this out with them on the spot, you don't need to book another time, or you could book a follow-up time. There are best practices where you'll book an appointment by the time you get off the current call you're on. So anytime you speak with someone, I'm meeting with Paulson, we do his intro call, and then I say, hey, let's put a time on the calendar for our launch call. Let's get that on there right away. That allows us to be planning in advance, but also set the right expectations. If not, they'll be calling you, texting you randomly because it's top of mind.
Yeah,
Paulson,
the
did you want to
the
include anything on that?
yeah, so there are a few. So by the way, this form and scheduling and all of that, this is something JB built out this morning, I believe. So this will be added into the snapshot as part of it. If you download the snapshot today, I don't know if it's there, unless JB, you correct me if I'm wrong, but this will be part of what they get regardless, right? So they'll be able to download it for themselves and change it. Now, when it comes to these questions, right? If I look at a questionnaire and it's like 50 pages, I mean 50 questions long, I'm not going to be excited to just go fill it out because I'm running my shop, right? So there are settings in the form settings where you can kind of like type form. You can go slide by slide where they don't see the full length of the questionnaire. They just see one question or maybe two questions. So you can change the style of these forms to get them to feel like it's not a big form, it's not a long form. And then some things you want to shorten the number of questions as much as possible to the point where they feel like they're collaborating with you. You don't want to make them feel like it's an interrogation. You want to make them feel like, okay, this guy's interested in helping, us put together what kind of conversations the AI chat should have. And that's really the main focus. And then one thing I recommend is don't make these questions a requirement field because if you make it a requirement, they're just not going to finish it. If you tell them optional, 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 they'll at least get an onboarding calendar after. Otherwise, you're just not going to get a lot of people scheduled on the onboarding. And they're going to have to go back and forth on email, text, and figure out, hey, you didn't fill out the form because of that. You didn't see the scheduling option, blah blah blah. So I would really focus on making sure this is a low resistant experience for your customer because in reality, most will not fill this out. I'm telling you, most will not fill this out to the best of ability, but it's a great option, like JB says, for you to have to set the tone. These are things you want to get to so that way you're not wasting your time on an onboarding call. The worst thing that can happen is they show up and it's like, hey, we meet again. Let's do another intro. And it's like a review of what the offer was and nothing else came from it. Then you're scheduling a second onboarding to actually onboard them, which is what you want to avoid. Because the key is to build an assembly line. You want this to be predictable. You're going to have an account manager that handles this. You're going to have a client success manager that handles this. So what you're doing in the beginning is building out these SOPs so someone else can handle the onboarding. Someone else can handle the fulfillment, or maybe vice versa. If you're a techie person, you want to have someone else handle the sales component. But all of that is going to happen when you can start recording the process like this, having checklists in each area of your business.
Absolutely. And you may not know how to position the conversation. So this is just a guide on how you can position the conversation. You can have the questions to ask, and maybe you shorten them. Maybe you don't. You ask one or two of them, and based on where the conversation is going, you make a U-turn as needed. But this here will at least give you a plug and play, and then when that information is filled out, it'll go to your email for a notification. And then as you learn and you evolve in the software, you will start to figure out that there's a whole machine behind all of this that it'll start pinging and dinging and doing next steps and moving things, and it's so fun. Look, Legos and puzzles are not for everybody, and this could feel the same way sometimes. But once you challenge yourself and you learn it, you there's a part of you that says, I really enjoy this challenge. I really enjoy the result of my time and effort. So it's important to keep that in mind. There are a handful of amazing videos, masterminds, coaches, groups, free sales trainings that are out there. It's important to keep in mind the why and the what you need to complete what you're trying to do. So, in this onboarding call, I want to build a relationship. So maybe if you're an introvert or you're kind of a little shy, you might want to train yourself on how to open up a little bit, right? How to start a conversation. That's something to work on. Maybe you're more outgoing. You have that part covered. Maybe the true part here that you need help with is the what to say, how to say it, and what to do thereafter. And then you use a combination of maybe you YouTube or you go into some of our training on account management, and fulfillment. But if you have the technology, you have the resources, everything in between that may not be fully clear will get clear because of what's around it. So just stay patient with yourself. Stay patient with your accountability partner, with your team, and those that are doing this with you, because it can feel a little bit much as we get it going. So let's continue on here. So as we go through this, we're going through the onboarding form with them. We're jotting down their answers. Whether it's paper, pen, you want to fill this out later, you have that flexibility. But at the end of the day, we want to now go on their website and find out what's on there regards to answers to the questions that they're saying they want care for. And then taking notes during that process. And then after that part, that might take 10 minutes, might take 15 minutes. You don't have to do it all at once. You just need a foundation to work with. You then want to get into timeline and next steps. This could be like a headache, right? For the customer and for you. And what I mean by that is, if you don't let the customer know that it's going to take you 2 days, or that you'll have this ready by Thursday at 4 p.m., let's put an appointment on the calendar, a time on the calendar, they're going to call you and ask questions, and they're going to feel like you're not doing what you said you were going to do. And that's why it's important to make sure you establish the timeline and the implementation and those next steps. So that way we know we're going to meet Friday, 2 p.m. We're going to launch, set up, or it's going to be ready to go. And you'll have more context around it as you complete your training and you practice. And then as we wrap that up, we want to do a little Q&A. Just want to make sure that we address anything that might have not come up yet. Maybe there's a question, maybe there's a thought. Let's let our customers speak so we can see where their mindset is at and what they're looking to have taken care of. And then right before you get off, just say, hey, folks, just want to make sure we're all on the same page. We went over this. I heard this loud and clear. I'm excited for this. You're excited for that. We have an appointment for Friday at 2 p.m. On that appointment, we'll have this ready. We'll also need this before that appointment. And I'm looking forward to getting this up and running. If you need to contact me, you can call me here at this time. Here are the hours that we're open, that I'm available. And if there's anything, you could also send an email. And you're having like that how to contact me ready to go. Now, again, if we would include all that in one training, this would be like a 5-hour workshop. You can replay this, and as you start to build out your next steps, you can refer to this or our training to build that out step by step. So now that we now that we've done that part, and let's say now we're getting ready to meet at Friday at 2 p.m., what is it that we're going to do then? Right? So Friday at 2 p.m., or let's say this is an same day appointment, we want to make sure we're giving our client access to the software, to your branded app, whether it's the AI app or whatever you call it, you'll have a name for it. And we start to give them the access, because they're going to get the email notification, and then there's going to be links and all that good stuff. So you want to make sure that whichever call it's on, you're giving them those links easily accessible to click on as needed. So most people use the Google browser. If they use Internet Explorer, whatever the case may be, ask them which one they use most frequently. Create a folder on their desktop, on their browser desktop here. Like you can see mine, I have a high level one. Create one for the AI Executive Assistant. And in that AI Executive Assistant one, you're going to have the link to log into your app, your platform. So this one's app.gohighlevel.com. Yours might be app.yourbusinessname.com. And then you want to go include the help guide for them to go to it as needed. Now we have a separate help guide for our white label clients. So it doesn't say high level on it. It says lead connector. Lead connector is the name we use for our white label customers to go ahead and give the app access without it being high level branded. And then you want to make sure you're going into their section of their account and clicking on the left-hand side, the mobile app. And that mobile app tab is going to open up how to download the mobile app. So the most important part is, how do I get into your program? Website link for the mobile desktop, and then the mobile app for the phone or tablet. Just to get a temperature check here, throw in on the chat and a thumbs up, or something to acknowledge here that you understand that you're on track with me here. And if you have a question, throw that question in the chat too. But keep that question related to onboarding, please, for onboarding. So if you have a question about onboarding, throw it in the chat. If you're following along and you're filling in the gaps, give me a I'm okay or good to go. Cool. We have so many different people on here with different experiences, backgrounds, that I just want to make sure we're at least able to go back and touch on that during the Q&A. Question here from Terry. I'll just grab this one here. Do you provide them with a password, or how do they log in? When you create the user account, that will then go to their email. It'll have the link. And while they're sharing their screen with you, you can walk them through how to grab that link. Typically, you go up top here, top left, drag it down, and then put it right on the toolbar. They may know, they may not know, but you want to make sure that it's confirmed that they did it. So there's some soft skills that you got to kind of learn here as you go. And that's why this framework kind of lets you create a little checklist. How do I create a bookmark? How do I drag this over? Like, you obviously need to know that, and you'll be able to get into it as you go little by little. Paulson, anything you want to include on this part before we move on?
Let's keep going so we could finish up here.
Okay, awesome. So as we go, as we're moving on here, let's jump into a few slides that talk about the AI chat installation. So in the course, if you haven't taken the course, you got to jump in there because there's more step-by-step. The resources link here will give you an exact how-to, step-by-step, based on if it's WordPress, the high-level site, to add the chat widget to the page. It varies for all different types of platforms. So this link here will assist you. It's also in the course. When you get into the AI chat installation, we're gonna actually jump in that live here. So that way we could let me switch screens. we can jump in that live as we start wrapping up here and get everyone on the same page. Share my screen here. So in this section here, we want to make sure first and foremost we're going to the agency view, because if conversation AI is not activated in the agency view, nothing will happen. So in the agency view, you want to go to Conversation AI tab, find the client that is that you're working with, if it's one or one of many, and make sure it's enabled. When this is on, it allows the sub account now, your customer's account, to go to their settings to the Conversation AI as needed. And it's also going to allow you to go in there with them to start building this out. So now you're in this Conversation AI section, and we've collected the frequently asked questions. And in that frequently asked questions, we're going to the bot training tab, and we're going to add a few links. So let's say we go ahead and attach here the Google Doc that we created. So on this Google Doc here, you'll see all the questions that we put and the answers. And now we made this Google Doc public, so that way our AI chatbot can jump in and pull that information from it. And then we're able to add those additional links as needed. And then this is where we're going to grab some of the information that we've grabbed from our onboarding form, and we start building out our question and the answer. This is going to be custom to the business. If it's 5, if it's 50, if it's 100, this always needs to be updated, and you always need to add it so that way the bot can be able to be familiar and provide those answers. If it doesn't know an answer, it's going to refer to the website or a help guide or another step. And that point, you're going to be able to, once you upload that link to the Google Doc, or you put the Q&A here one by one, you'll also now be able to go to the bot trial and ask it questions in practice. Now, the bot trial here does not charge you. It's no cost. It only costs you the 2 cents per message when the bot is in live mode on the site. As we go through this, we're asking questions. We're starting to get answers. And this here, so as those answers start coming in, we'll be able to now give a thumbs up or a thumbs down based on, is that the right answer or the best answer for that question? And this will take some time. That's why you want to give yourself, at least, an hour or so to put this information in there, test it. So when you meet with your client to go live, they could then test it, and then it has the information it needs. But remember, the information that it needs is from your customer or their website. So it's so important to keep that in mind. This isn't going to just figure it out itself. It'll scrape the website, but that'll just be one layer. We want to go multiple layers as this bot is live and up and running.
So JB, one of the notes that I want to add here is we've recommended that none of you niche down. You don't need to niche down in the beginning stages of your launch. Once you get to maybe that 20, 25, 30 client mark, you've kind of figured yourself out and what you want to provide. You've built some case studies, and then for you to scale, you definitely want to niche down into a certain lane so you can hyper focus on sales and brand building. With that in mind, imagine, so let me just share a thought with you all just to get you excited. Imagine if you had a Google Doc that was specifically geared towards a certain industry. Imagine if I'm just focused on dental clients and that's all I do. Imagine a Google Doc that I have with all my dental clients ever loading up a bunch of information that is essentially relatable to all dental accounts that I ever have, right? So then all of a sudden you're building a database of information, and these are things that you want to do for products like services, procedures, and things like that, right? So imagine having a huge docker on Invisalign that all of your Invisalign providers can just focus on, right? So there are more opportunities for you to build your own IP, build your own intellectual ideas and strategies that are geared towards a certain industry, especially once you start scaling. In the beginning, just focus on local businesses, get your feet wet, get your, hands involved in a couple of businesses that you really like and figure out who do you want to work with, right? Some of you may want to work with accountants because they think a certain way, they manage things a certain way. Some of you may want to work with the mechanics. Some of you may want to work with other businesses. So you may find your lane later, but once you do, you can build your own IPs, your own strategies, your own cool things around this AI solution.
I agree. And I think the most important part here is knowing that this is always evolving. And, you know, if you have not set up your own website that we've provided within the membership course, then you need to do that before you sell this to somebody. You do a beta with somebody, right? You need to have yours up and running. If you haven't yet gone through the membership course, there are steps in there that go much more deeper than what we're going through on this live that are required for you to give a good service experience, but also for it to work. I mean, I remember growing up, Christmas would come and I get this cool toy and batteries were not included. Well, you need the battery for it to work. The battery in this process is you and the buttons within the software. So you want to make sure that your battery is fully charged or at least halfway charged so that way you can get this up and running. And the halfway charge looks something like this. You're logged into your account, you have your website up, your chat widget is installed, but maybe it's not responding back yet. That gives you a chance to troubleshoot it with the help guide or our live team and maybe pick the feature that needs to be properly turned on, which could be the live chat here. So, if you don't have an SMS phone number activated, it's not going to work for you. If you don't have your Facebook and Instagram connected, it's not going to work for you. You need to have the live chat. And this is a mistake that folks make that in the beginning stages because they want to add everything in it for it to give the best result. We need to make sure we have the live chat first. And this Conversation AI tab has everything you need thereafter turning it on in the agency view. And a combination of going from tab to tab will also get the muscle memory going. So if we were to just go, left to right, we know in the bot settings, we want autopilot because that's going to automatically answer and go back and forth. We want to make sure we have the live chat because that's the only feature we have set up at the moment. And that's the standard for this challenge. We want to make sure that we have the business name filled in. We want to make sure that we set the right response time, whether it's a 1-second response, 3-second, or longer. We want to make sure we set the maximum messages. And as we are needing answers to our own questions, we can hover over the circles over here, and it'll give more of that information. And then we go to the next section, the bot trial, right? But before the bot trial, we need to make sure that we have the right information in here to try it out. Because the bot trial may just give you some basic information. We want more custom to the business. And as you're going through here, you're going to need to go through the help guide as needed as well, because this doesn't have all the answers either. So help guide, membership course, your learning experience makes this the best product available as your initial offer. Anyone have any questions about this part? Throw it in the chat, and I promise we'll get back to it, or one of our team members will. That way we could make sure you get additional clarity as needed. As we move on here, we're running towards the tail end, and I want to make sure we give some time for Q&A as we go. I just want to run through this here that Paulson had shared, because it is important to make sure you know where everything is at a bare minimum as you're learning. And if you need to replay this and go back, you'll have this available. So, Paulson had mentioned here, pipelines is a great area to show your customers what it includes. So to get to pipelines, that's the opportunities tab. This opportunities tab has the option to add opportunities, and then the pipelines up here live under that opportunity. So you have that option for everything to be, on its own or separate. So opportunities gives you pipelines, and you can then move them along the different stages and the drop down. Then the help guide, there's videos on this, all here available for you. The next section that was recommended was forms and surveys. Forms and surveys are within the sites section of the software. So when you go to sites on the left, forms is on the top. You have the builder, which helps you create the form. You have the analyze, which will let you see the data that are coming in from the form. And then you have the submissions, which will let you see the actual submissions from the form. The submissions of the form could be like your onboarding form. That'll have the information here. The surveys is another great area. Same concept, just in its own section, because there are maybe different pieces of information or styles that you want to create it using. So forms and surveys are under the sites section. Calendars are under this tab here on the left, calendars. What's important to keep in mind with calendars is the calendar settings. These settings are so important, and it does get a little deep in here because you have the option to add calendars, and then options within that area if you're going to be doing calendars for services, for room rentals, or for equipment rentals. Remember, we built this out so it could be customized and items could be turned on and off as needed. And then we have within each calendar, you have settings that you can go ahead and manage as well. And again, on the top part, all of these sections on the top are related to calendars. Okay. So this is, this goes in depth. Don't let it scare you away. It just takes a little bit of time and being familiar with the resources that are provided. The next section here, second to last, is funnels. Funnels is located under the Sites tab. Where am I at here? Sites tab on the left-hand side. It defaults to funnels, and then you can go ahead and click on New Funnel. Now, we've included some templates, so if you want to remix something that we've created already, you're more than welcome, and there are categories. As you start to really ascend and bring on growth opportunities for your customers, you will notice very quickly that you have some pre-made items that just require some customization, and this could be the reason why they get started quicker on their ascension. So you have your funnels here. Again, help guide is going to be very important to go ahead and go through it. Now, some people will go to YouTube for some trainings. I recommend starting with help guide first, because that's the technical, that's the by the book guidance. The YouTube videos can help you with use case, strategy, styles, and creativity. But lean on our help guide, because that has all the technical details that you'll need to either launch it or make changes to it. And then last is our workflows. Workflows live under the automation tab. The automation tab, this is the snapshot that we've given everybody. If you've installed it yet, these are automations. Workflows within the automation tab. And automation just means that when you publish this workflow, it will work based on the steps that you've created within those settings. So just to go back here as an overview, click on automations. Keep in mind you want to keep this organized, because it's very easy to have multiple automations. So for your customers, if it's a new sales onboarding automation, if it's a service automation, make sure you give it a folder. That way, when they double click it, it has those related automations, and you have some search functionality here as well. And on the top, you'll have an option of looking at some other additional add-ons within it. But in order to work within an automation, you want to click it, and then you can see what's already set up. It's important to make sure you test it. You can publish it and then save it. If it doesn't save, you're going to have to start all over. And keep in mind here, when you click on create workflow, if you want to get your ideas a test, we have a recipe section here with some frequent workflows that you can activate and use, or use as a training or a guide as you go. So if you are big on birthdays, or whether it's a daycare or a bouncy house or whatever you got going on, that birthdays is a piece of information you collect, you can create a workflow around birthdays, so that way those notifications go out. And again, this might scare you a little bit, or it might excite you. If you lean on the help guide, it'll be much more smoother, because you'll understand the technical function of this, and then you could build upon it. So in a nutshell here, we went high-level overview on where to find these items. Again, if you're working, as Paul said, I mentioned, if you're working in a specific industry or a niche, or more frequent clients like attorneys or home service businesses, they may have other features that they would most likely want to use. You can create a guide for yourself to touch on those items based on that business type. Again, I hope this finds you all well. Sometimes just kind of going off script and just showing it in an organic, fun way is more helpful than going line by line, like reading an instruction manual. I hope this is a little bit more easier to understand as we're kind of freestyling it here. If it's easy to
Absolutely.
understand, go ahead and type in easy. It's easy to at least understand. Not easy to do, easy to understand. And as always, while you guys are engaging with me in the chat, I want to pull up here an important slide, if I could find it, that really, really makes all the difference in what we do. And that's the help guide. I'm sorry, the success channel that we have. We have hundreds and hundreds of folks that are behind the screen, behind the phone, ready and willing to help you. They are waiting. We have a community team in our Facebook group that does this very best. They're very best to get to you right away with your questions. But don't wait. You can jump and get live help right away. And that can be the difference between you sticking along this journey or putting it on pause. This website here, speakwith.us/success, has helped me over the years as I've learned high level. These people are amazing, and they really love what they do, and they take it serious, because to be in a department like this, you have to be familiar with the software, but most importantly, you have to have a passion and an excitement for helping others to build that muscle memory as they're along their journey. So I hope, if you haven't taken this screenshot or you're just jumping on, make sure you jump here. Another great area on our website to jump on is our high-level certified admins. These folks go through a very detailed learning process, hundreds of different video scenarios. They go through a testing process that's timed, and their core responsibility is to make sure they know the software in and out at the most advanced level, so that way they can help someone at the beginner or basic or moderate level. Because we have people that have the vision of how they want the software to work, but they don't have the technical time or ability to do it. So imagine you have this huge vision of, I want this, I want that, I want it to feel like this, I want it to feel like that, I want them to get this at this time, and you don't have the time to do it. We have certified experts that have gone through our training in our directory. Visit our website, and you can see that list there as well. Paulson, we're almost at time here, and I know we like to leave some room
Yeah.
for Q&A. I know you have some remarks that you'd like to also include. I'm going to throw the mic over to you to make sure we don't miss anything. It's
Yeah,
been a
actually,
jam-packed day.
so let's actually close out. Let's go ahead and go over the homework and we can close out. I think for Q&A, let's go ahead and let everyone put in the questions in the comments and we can go through it and answer as much as we can. And then tomorrow we'll have a bigger Q&A. So for today, let's keep the call a little shorter than normal and let's go over the homework and close out.
Absolutely. So, with what you've learned so far, with the resources that you've been introduced to, whether you're starting on this challenge now or you've been on it since the beginning, it's now your turn to create your first beta client sub account, put together your questions that you want to go over on the onboarding, make sure your website is up and running, and you can show a finished client product to somebody and say, hey, look, I've set this up for one of my beta clients already. And it could be any type of beta client. Just go through the process so that way when you get your first paying customer or your actual first client, business client that's ready to go, you know how to do it. And if it takes you a little longer, take your time. Make sure you raise your hand or you take on one of our support opportunities, and we'll be there right by your side to give you a hand. That's all we have for the homework. Paulson, anything else on your end?
I think that's it for now. I think the key is to just take action. This whole AI chat system is not, too complicated if you ask me. If you go through the online course that Haplin and the product marketing team put together, it'll give you click by click instructions. We've had people tell us, "Hey, I've set this whole thing up in 15 minutes." So as much as we're elaborating and sharing all the context and everything, in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't take long. And the cool part is the fulfillment is done by your clients. Like they're the ones actually providing the real information about their own business to train the AI bot, right? Like it's not even on you to train the bot. It's relevant questions that their customers have about their business. So you just have to make it available to them over time. You'll build up the database for the agent, the live agent essentially. But we'll see you all tomorrow at 12 o'clock EST. What are we going to cover tomorrow, JB? I know we have pretty cool things to share on how to upsell their clients into the expansion offer tomorrow, right?
Yeah, so ascension and retention, right? We want to introduce our other powerful features to you and to your customers, as well as how do we keep them both going, or all four or five of the new features we add going, and then how to start preparing for your accountability calls, because we know that your customers are going to want to hold you accountable, and you're going to have to find a way to also hold them accountable. So we're going to have that conversation and training as well. And before you know it, you'll be on off to the races and making a difference in your community.
All right, everybody. We're going to close out. We'll see you tomorrow, 12 o'clock EST. That's New York time for those of you that are international. And we'll get started with tomorrow's content. And by the way, again, all the collateral snapshots, everything is inside the online course. There's a private Facebook group that you have access for about 30, 40 days. After that, you do lose access. So you definitely want to post your pictures and videos and intros and find a fellow high leveler that you can do this journey with. We've seen that work very effectively. Some of you may be techie, and maybe you're like me, where you're not techie, you're more of a sales guy, and I rather have some folks to do this thing with. I don't want to go take on this entrepreneurial journey by myself. So great, great session again, JB. We'll see everybody tomorrow. Bye for now.
Have a great one, guys. Take care.